I'm just a talking, still on mute. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to the Coach My Life Volume 4 book launch, the anthology launch. I am your coach, Latoya Early. I am also the visionary of Coach My Life and Chase Great Enterprises. We are excited to be before you on tonight. Listen, we are almost to the finish line. Our coaches, their books are hot on the press. They are being printed as we speak. And I am excited about what God has in store for each and every contributor to this project. If this is your first time learning about the Coach My Life project, let me tell you a little bit more about it. So Coach My Life is a coaching community where we offer lifestyle coaching, leadership coaching, and business coaching. Those who have completed the Chase Great University certification program are then transitioned into the Coach My Life network, where individuals just like you can visit us at coachmylife.com, and you can hire a coach, you can join our network, you can purchase materials. If you need additional support and navigating in any area of your life, I encourage you to visit us at coachmylife.com. If you are a part of our Facebook community, make sure you are taking advantage of all of the amazing bonuses and trainings that are in the community. I promise you, it'll bless you. Okay, y'all. So for the past several weeks, I've been talking about how I have all of these favorites, right? Like all the coaches of Chase Great are my favorites. And I'm going to say that and I mean that. But we are going to bring another very special favorite to the stage. Not only is she one of my very special favorites because she's just a bomb at what she does, but she has definitely been a huge part of the growth and the development of Chase Great, our curriculum, our community. She's not only a leadership trainer, but she is also the director of client success here at Chase Great University. And I'm just honored to just be connected to her. When I tell y'all that when the girl get in her bag, she be in her bag. And you want to make sure that you are pulling everything that she has, because when she not in her bag, she not in her bag. So you better make sure you get it while the getting is good, as the seasoned folk will say, right? So listen, y'all, without further ado, I am excited to bring to the stage our director of client success, our leadership trainer, Jasmin Pittman.
Yes,
It's her birthday, y'all.
it's J Day, y'all. So
Okay,
wait,
it's payday.
hold on, listen. Really? That's the introduction.
Listen, I'm just, do you want me to be honest with the people, or do
It's
you
always listen. The people should get honesty and truth at all times.
at
I
all
appreciate
times?
this. She said, but no lies were told for real. Get
None.
me,
She know it.
because listen, when
So,
it's time to rest, I will. One thing I'm gonna do is nap and rest, baby.
absolutely.
But it wasn't always like that. So now I'm more seasoned and I recognize the power of a good nap. Okay.
See?
Sometimes
Look,
them naps, you need them naps and you need that little time away to kind of refresh yourself because you can't keep pouring empty. So when it's time for
absolutely.
me to be filled, I'm gonna sit down and let someone else pour into me so that I could be, available and ready when it's time to pour into you. So yes, she
That's
right.
so true. She is definitely telling the truth. So listen, y'all. We've been going live over the last several weeks. We've been talking about the Coach My Life anthology. It is our rendition of coaching in a book, right? If you've never hired a coach, if you've never worked with a coach, if you're new to the coaching space, a lot of people feel like coaching may not be effective for them. They may feel like, it's a hoax or it's a trend. I promise you guys, I actually had a coaching call today. I just started working with a new coach, and he's working with me in some other areas of my life. And when I tell y'all, I was in on the coaching call with pen and paper, ready for it, because um I've truly grown to admire coaching, especially kingdom coaching. So let me go ahead and pass the mic over to our leadership trainer, Jasmin, so that she can do her introduction, tell you who she is, what she does, and the problem she solves for her client.
Okay, well, that was She said my name so many times. So I am Coach Jazz, Coach J, whichever one. Depends on who's calling me. I might be Coach Jazz or I might be Coach J, but I am your leadership coach. I literally love what I do. I love working with leaders. And so I help new leaders and professionals to be able to unlock their full potential and confidently embrace their roles. Um, uh-oh, I think I got a little freezes there. The problem that I've been called to solve is truly just helping leaders in their with imposter syndrome in their leadership, right? Because very often leaders, there's a struggle there sometimes with leaders where they're struggling to figure out, who am I in this new role? How do I continue to show up authentically as myself? Do I even know who I truly am? Or how I got here. Sometimes we feel like, I don't know how I got this role, or just my hard work got me here. And I'm unclear on how to necessarily navigate my new role as a leader. Or I could be an existing leader who, it's just, I'm struggling in my role. I'm struggling with what I'm doing. I'm having a hard time with, with leading. My team isn't performing. We're not meeting our KPIs. I mean, everybody, it's a problem. I feel like I got to do too much. I'm micromanaging. I'm doing all of these different things. And so I've been kind of called to those leaders. I'm here to help you to be able to show up authentically, to understand how to lead professionally, and to not wear yourself out. It's like to avoid burnout in leadership, because very often, if you're not truly equipped to lead, you will easily burn yourself out simply because you're doing too much. And so my goal and my job is to help you to unlock your true potential, unlock your true call as a leader, so that you can show up authentically yourself. You can show up in grace and in honor and all those good things that leaders have. Hey, Coach, welcome back. I lost you for a second. But that's what I've been called to kind of solve, the challenge of leadership where there's a lack of confidence in their abilities.
I think, and I share this with you guys every time we talk amongst the coaches, and I tell you guys how much I learn from the other coaches, right? Yes, they are a part of Chase Great. Yes, they've all gone through the Chase Great curriculum. And it sounds good, but my favorite part is being able to glean from the fruit of which they've bear. Get my words out. I can talk, y'all, I promise, as they go through the process. And knowing Jasmine before Chase Gray, or before she truly accepted her assignment and leadership, and then watching her focusing on imposter syndrome and leadership makes so much sense, right? Because we talk about what we've been called from is what we're being called to, right? And so the exact problem that she's solving in the lives of other leaders, that imposter syndrome, that not showing up with confidence, not showing up believing in what you bring to the table, not believing in your capability, even though you see fruit around you, right? For whatever reason, we allow the enemy to trick us into believing that the fruit is rotten, or we can't produce more fruit, or the fruit isn't real. Like, how many times have we gone through that? So to sit here and have this conversation with her about her own imposter, and then turn around and saying, you know what, I want to show up and I want to serve other leaders and helping them through their imposter syndrome, it has blessed me, because I didn't know that I was fighting imposter syndrome as a leader. You don't really see things from that perspective until it's time to go to the next level, and you're trying to figure out what's holding me back from my next level of success. And it could be you. It could be you. So I want to talk about the book, because I'm excited about the book. I'm so excited about the book. I'm so proud of you for contributing to this book. It's been a long journey, but we're here. We're here, and I love it.
We made it.
We made it. So I want you to tell those, because keep in mind, guys, if you are joining us, we have 3 categories in the Coach My Life anthology. Okay. We have the Coach My Lifestyle, we have the Coach My Business, and then we have the Coach My Leadership. Coach Jasmine is featured in the Coach My Leadership section. So I encourage you, if you are in leadership, if you're trying to identify whether or not you qualify as a leader, if you're fighting through accepting your assignment as a leader, I encourage you to get the book. Get the book, right? because I promise it'll bless you. And you want to get the books, especially this week from Jasmine, because it's J Day. It's her birthday. So
I mean, what better birthday gift is it than for you to buy the book?
why not? Why not? But Jazz, what can they expect from your chapter of the book?
So my chapter really is about you belong at the table, and it's really about helping you identify, your experiences, right? Because many of us are facing, and you don't even know that it is imposter syndrome because you don't know sometimes what imposter syndrome truly is. And so in this chapter, I break down what imposter syndrome is, what it looks like, how it affects you, and then I even share a lot about what it looked like in me. Like, for instance, there were things that I was doing that I didn't even recognize I was doing simply because of my imposter syndrome. Perfect example. I used to call it I would call it, I got the takeover spirit, right? As a leader, right? I didn't want to say I was micromanaging. I didn't want to micromanage my team. I didn't want to, hover over their shoulders. So very often I would just say, I got the takeover spirit. And I didn't recognize that my takeover spirit was just my imposter syndrome showing up in a way that said, I don't trust my team. I don't trust myself to effectively delegate or to effectively communicate my expectations, right? And because I couldn't communicate what I wanted and how I wanted them to do it, I would just do it and take over, because at least I know if I do it, it's going to be done right. And it was because I needed to show up a certain way. If it had my name on it, it had to come a certain way. And so in my chapter, I kind of talk about things that you may not recognize that you're doing that could really be your imposter syndrome showing up, saying, hey, it is here. You do have it. Let's work through it.
I love that. So I know in the book you're saying that you are going to, in a deeper detail, explain what imposter syndrome is.
Mhm.
But for those who, because I'll be honest, I heard the term for a very long time, but I didn't know how it applied to me. So can you share examples, behaviors of imposter syndrome?
Yeah. And so the thing is, y'all, I'm being like super, super vague today because I really want you to buy this book. Like, I could tell you some stuff, but I feel like when you get this book and you read this chapter, you're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. I got it. But let's just say this, a few other things outside of not being able to delegate. That could be a really big sign of imposter syndrome. I can't delegate because I gotta own it all, I gotta do it all, because you're afraid of what it's gonna look like if your hands are not on it. Like, I don't want to give y'all too much, and she wants me to give y'all more, but I really need you to read this chapter because
Listen, that alone, that lack of delegation, for number one, I think that we confuse what that means or what that looks like, right? Because you're saying it could show up as imposter syndrome. We can look at it as perfectionists wanting things to be perfect, control, right? Like, these are all things that as leaders we don't really identify because we want to go, we want to do, we want to lead, we want to, but are you being an effective leader? For many of you, I've just recently relocated. My husband, my family, we just relocated. Watching my husband operate in his new leadership role has been nothing less than amazing, because I'm able to see him in a way that I've never seen him before, but it also challenges his leadership skills.
Mhm.
And when you talk about the imposter syndrome, trust, the strategy, the value, the gifting, the skill that you have. And so you struggle with this mentality because you don't want to come into the room arrogant, or you don't want to come into the
Ooh.
room as a know-it-all. But
Mhm.
I'm like, wait a minute, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the results.
Yeah.
So
And even going into in line with what you're saying now, or you attribute all of those success to other external factors.
mhm,
You start
mhm,
saying like,
mhm.
oh, it was just the luck of the draw. Oh, it just so happened. Like, you start downplaying truly what you can do, and it becomes what everybody else around you did. Let me say this. You start even, and we think it's great leadership. It was a team effort. Everyone contributed. But the reality is, you really did it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you become that person where you got to have your hands on it because you did all the work, but then you want to give credits to everybody else because you are afraid to give yourself the credit, because we think that we have to be humble. We think that we have to kind of
Yep.
like downplay who we are.
Yep.
I can't. Who am I to like pat myself on the back and say, "Oh no, I did that"? It's like we kind of run from those things, and it's like when you start saying it was them, it was a team effort, and they looking like, "Uh-oh, I'm sorry," and they start looking like, "Hold on, wait, oh, what we do?" Or you have to start telling people what we did so that they can be in the meeting and know something. Maybe it's not the team, it's you. And
That's
so when you
crazy.
start attributing those factors to everything else or outside people, it's like, oh, well, it was a team effort, because you don't want to seem like I did it. But let me say this, and I don't even when God created, he looked back and said it was good. Some of
Mm-hmm.
us don't even want to say it was good. Like what I did was good. We can't even say it was good
Yeah.
because we don't want to seem like we're boasting or we're braggadocious or we think we better than somebody else because we did or we came or I came, I saw, and I conquered. It doesn't make it's like you said earlier, the proof is in the pudding. And so it's like being careful not to not to take credit where credit is due because you're just truly afraid of what that looks like. And sometimes, never mind, I'm about to keep going, but I'm not going to go there because you want me
When I
to.
was making the caption for this, I had this. I'm like, when two leaders get together and talk about skill, character, get a pen and paper, right? Because I understand over the course of the 10 years that we've been doing this, so many of the things that Jasmin has brought to the table, so many of the concepts and the perspectives that she has opened my eyes to when it comes to operating in leadership. This right here is just the beginning, right? And I think that the very first step to this is acknowledging your leadership role, is acknowledging your leadership. I don't even want to say role, because when we think of roles, we think that
Ooh.
you can switch in and change them, right? I don't want to say that because I'm not in a leadership role. I am a leader,
Well, see,
right?
because leadership is a calling, and that's the part. Leadership, you are called to leadership, right? Either you've accepted the call because God said, "Hey, I need you to lead," or you've answered the call of someone in your organization. Your boss said you'll be good at this. Like it's a call and a response. Somebody called you, you
Mhm.
responded and said yes. Now, many of us fight the yes because I've been fighting for a long time. So many of us fight the yes, but really leadership is a calling. Everybody's not called to lead. Everybody cannot lead. And some of the problem is people want to take on the role of leadership, but because they want what they think and they don't know what it really requires. Leadership is service. So it's a call to service. It's a call to serve other people. It's
Come
me
on. The
saying
call to
I am
service.
going to I am willing to serve my team. My team doesn't serve me. I serve them. I make sure that they have what they need they're equipped with what they need to do their job. And it's my job to stand in the way to say, "Hey, we need this." I'm supposed to speak for my team. I'm supposed to take care of my team because if I take care of my team, ultimately they take care of me. But my responsibility of leadership, it is a call to service, to serve the people that you've actually responsible to handle. Like you have a gift of people to handle.
That
In
is crazy. I don't think anybody, I'm not going to say anybody, I haven't heard too many people describe leadership, because when we think of leadership, we're thinking the team serves the leader, right? The team brings their skill to the table. Don't get me wrong, you go through the training and so forth to develop the skill, but the skill is to support the leader. It's the other way around. True leadership is learning how to develop the hidden skills and qualities
That's
in
it.
those team members so that we can win together. And I don't think that a lot of people look at it that way. If I'm, because we've been in those positions. I'm the boss. I'm in leadership. I'm this, I'm that. And you're expecting for your team to perform and they suck. And you're trying to understand why my team, and it's because you're so self-centered on your results and your success that you're not identifying the purpose in your leadership position so that
Mhm.
you can develop and train the people.
That's it. Your job is to identify their area and to help cultivate that. What we sometimes do is, and I hear this all the time, especially in corporate America, where they're trying to, identify the root cause or the problem, or they're trying to identify the weakness or the opportunity in the person and cultivate that. No, baby, sometimes you got to take what they're good at, you take their strength and you play on their strength. If you leave them in their strength, they can perform. It's literally this. It's if my assignment is leadership, then let me lead. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, don't tell me, all right, Jay, we need you to go over here and and be a usher. I'm not a usher. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna let people sit wherever they want to sit.
For real.
You want to sit on the front row? Okay, cool with me. Like I'm not equipped for that. Like you gotta let people do what they're called to do. And hear me out. Everybody can't usher.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't go into the role of being an usher because your disposition is off. You're not friendly enough. You don't want to smile. Like I'm hot. You ain't even recognize I needed a fan. Like you're not there. So it's like putting people in you can't put people in position just because they want it. You know what I'm saying? But as my job as a leader, I gotta serve you, identify your strong area, and then cultivate that area. Let you work in your area. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. You know how, let me tell y'all, Jasmine and I did not talk about our contributing chapters, okay? We did not. This whole 6 months, we wrote our chapters, we submitted them. While she's talking about imposter syndrome, my chapter is talking about positioning purpose and leadership. Because how can you effectively lead with confidence if you don't even know why you're there? If you haven't identified your purpose and your position, how do you expect to effectively lead? If you're not leading with confidence, if you're not leading with a certain mindset, how do you expect to effectively lead and be successful? I'm telling y'all, get the book, because we can talk about this. We every time Jasmine and I go live, we like, okay, listen, Linda, we're gonna be on here for this amount of time, and we're not gonna run over. Why? Because number one, we're passionate about it. For number two, we're passionate about your success. I'm watching way too many leaders lead from the top to the bottom.
There you go.
That's not how you lead. You lead from the bottom, right? How can you expect a house to stand on sand if the foundation isn't strong, if the foundation isn't built? So what am I saying to you as a leader? You need to sit down and figure out, okay, am I struggling with these things? Are these things, am I hindering myself from the success that I know that I'm capable of attaining, because I'm limiting myself from imposter syndrome, from my limited beliefs, my limited thoughts, me not wanting to step fully into my position because of what people have said about me, because of what I said about myself, because of past experiences, all of the things. So listen, Jasmine, we can keep going. My next question for you, because we got about 6 minutes. What do you want the readers to gain? Like, what are the results that you want them to walk away with after reading your chapter?
I would like for them to, I want there to be some transformation and some acceptance, right? I need
Mm-hmm.
you to be able to recognize and accept, and I'm going to say it as plain as I can. It is what it is. You are who you are. You were called to this, and you have to accept it and everything that comes with it, because it's something you said earlier. Most of the time when we have this imposter syndrome, it struggles from it there's it started at a point, right? There was somewhere where something happened, and most of the time there's some trauma involved, right? And what we end up doing is we try to climb over our wounds. Like we try to keep
Mm-hmm.
going over things, and you can't climb over your wounds. You got to face them. And so when you can really face it and pinpoint where did this come from, then you can heal from it, right? And then you can begin
Absolutely.
to accept who you are. It took a very long time. And I need to look at this camera when I say this. It took me a long time to accept who I was.
Yeah.
And it took for me to like, I'm talking about into my adulthood, to recognize that you are different. You were called to this. It's just it's who you are. Like the Lord himself, like the God said, this is who you're gonna be. He called you, he chose you, accept it, and stop trying to fit into places where you don't fit. Like you don't fit there. And I think the biggest problem is we try to fit into places that we're not supposed to be in. Right, we're trying to like conform, and we're not supposed to conform to this world. We try to conform, and in conforming, we feel out of place still. Even when we try to do something, like it don't work for you, boo. It's not who you are. Cut it out. Just stop it. I need you to start. I need you to understand, get down to the root cause of where it's coming from, and then learn to accept and love who you are just the way you are. And then you can show up authentically yourself. When you show up authentically yourself, when you show up in purpose, when you show up in your assignment, then it's going to be so much better for you, baby. It's going to feel, listen, the moment I got to do this, and I'm sorry I got 6 minutes, but I got to do this real quick. I remember struggling, like being so deep in depression and I was depressed because I'm gonna just say it real quick. I was depressing my assignment. I was depressing my purpose. And that was what the Lord kind of showed me when I came out of depression. It was like, hey, baby, you're not depressed. You just keep depressing your purpose. You keep pressing down your assignment. You keep pressing it down so much that you feel empty, because the only thing that's going to fill you is operating in your purpose and your assignment and your gift. And I was so depressed. And the Lord was like, hey, I need you to go do a workshop. And I'm like, God, and me and God, we got our own relationship. I'm like, okay, listen, God, for what? Who coming? Who coming to a workshop? I need you to go do a workshop. So I'm one of those children who talk back to their parents. And so I talk back to my daddy, right? So I'm like, all right, God, if you want me to do this workshop, I need this amount of people. I need this much money. And this is really how we talk all the time. Like he gives me something, I challenge, like, okay, God, cool, I do it if you give me this. So, and it's usually something to help me with my assignment. So let me not say I need a new car, like, God. No, I need you to help me to do this. So I did this. I did it. I gave him a amount of people. I said a ridiculous price, like, okay, God, this gotta be my price point, and I need this many people to pay this amount of money. And they did. And I was like, okay, God, let me do it.
Whoa. Because the price wasn't ridiculous. So let me go ahead and clean that up right there.
Yeah, look, the price wasn't ridiculous, but it was a faith stretch for me to say, hey, they're gonna pay this amount of money to come to your workshop.
Okay, so, but I'm sorry.
What?
I need you to give them the number. I need the people to hear the faith stretch that was stretched on that cold January month.
It was $397. I said, was it $3 or $497? It was $3. It was $397. I said, Lord, I need.
Oh, I'm talking about another workshop. Go ahead.
Oh, you talking about the first time?
I'm talking about the first time you said yes.
Oh, okay, wait. The first time I said yes was I said yes to coaching. I'm like, all right, God, I'm gonna stop running. I had lost my job from being in leadership in corporate America, lost my job. And I said, and literally, listen, the day I lost my job, I had 2 job offers. I had 2 job offers because 2 people heard that my company had let me go and called me like, hey, I've been waiting on you. Can you come over here? The first guy offered me about $10,000 more than I was making. The second company was closer to what I was making, and I could start right away. I said, you know what? I got laid off in November. I said, listen, Thanksgiving coming, Christmas coming. I ain't broke. I got some money. I'm good. I said, listen, I'm gonna wait till next year. I'm gonna look for a job next year. I told him to give me 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, the man called me back and offered me an additional $40,000 plus bonus on top of what he originally offered me. And God said, no, ma'am. You're going to go over here and do this. Now, mind you, Toya had posted, I need somebody to come work for Chase Great. And I'm like, I could do that in addition to a job. That's what I was telling myself. In addition to a job. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to just do this. And so I interviewed with Toya. She came back like, yes, you got the job. I'm like, okay, cool. Now this guy comes back and says, Jay, you told me to give you 6 weeks. It's been 6 weeks. I offered you this. I'm gonna offer you 40,000 more on top of that, plus a bonus. And I was like, God was like, no, ma'am. I said, okay, God, for us, what we doing? So we just going in. And I'm like, you gonna make me turn down this money, which was in hindsight, the company downsized, which I found out later. They downsized like 6 months later. So I would have been in the same position all over again. So he knew what he was doing. So I decided to step out on faith and go full-time coaching. Very first contract. Very first contract. Went out here. I'm talking to people. Somebody recommended me to someone to do one-on-one coaching, leadership coaching. I'm starting to coach him. He says, "What else do you do?" I said, "Oh, I do this." He says, "Come see me." I go to a meeting and he like, "How much will you charge?" He told me the issues he was having in his company. He said, "How much do you charge?" The Lord was like, $25,000. And I was like, "What had happened, Lord? You want me to tell this man 25,000?" The Lord said, "Yes, ma'am." And I'm like, "Okay, 25,000." So I said it like, "Okay, it's gonna cost you 25,000." Mind you, this was $25,000 for a 3-day training in his organization, followed by I gave each leader 2 hours of 30-minute coaching sessions. I'm sorry, 2 30 minutes of coaching sessions. So literally, my first contract was $25,000 for about 2 weeks worth of work. And I was just sitting there like, "Okay, God, you just
So
blew my mind."
So listen, the reason why I wanted Coach Jazz to share that specific number and that specific testimony with you is because something a leader told me today, and it was good. They talked about owning your superpower, right? If you don't own your superpower, you'll keep falling for the lies.
Mm.
You'll keep falling for the deceit. You'll keep falling for the situations around you that's trying to tell you that you're not good enough. Until you walk fully into the superpower and say, "This is what makes me unique. This is what makes me different. This is what makes me stand out," and you own it. Because what we'll do is we'll belittle it like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal." But it really is. Like, do you know how long it took for me to make a bundt cake and the without the bundt sticking to the pan? I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, it cannot take a rocket scientist to make this cake, right? But it
Mhm.
wasn't until I learned, okay, Latoya, you need to change your ingredients. You need to change your oven temperature. You need to change. And so once I started to, now it's like, oh, you want a cream cheese pound cake? I got you. No problem, right?
You
Because
need to
and
know
I'm
to
using
date.
it. Listen, I'm using it as an example, but this is how we do our skills. We'd be like, "Oh, it's not that," but everybody don't know how to make a bundt cake, right? Right. And so I wanted Jasmine to share this with you because there are so many of you that are in leadership that you are so focused on the roles and the responsibilities that you're not fulfilling the purpose, and you are misleading and you are misguiding the people that are connected to you. They're failing because you refuse to show up.
Here's the other thing about that too. Two things. One, for a long time, I wouldn't even say anything about that. Like the imposter syndrome in me
Mhm.
wouldn't let me talk about my first contract was this amount of money. Like it was like, "Oh, it's cool. It was a good contract." Like I couldn't do it. But here's the thing I had to learn. And one of my mentors says it all the time. Like, you have to be able to speak to your own success. And sometimes the reason why you have to do that is because you got to go back and recall some stuff, right? Because
Absolutely.
sometimes you get in a moment where you feel like, "I can't do it." Like you forget what you did. And I always talk, anytime I talk about recall, the power and the importance of recall, I talk about David. And y'all hear me talk about it all the time. When David went to go fight Goliath and he pulled the stone, what he had to do was he had to go recall some past victories. He had to start saying, "I beat the lion and I fought the bear." And he had to start remembering some times when he had already won some things in his past. Recall is important. It's important for you to recognize and identify the time that you succeeded or the time that you kind of beat the odds. Because if you did it before, you could do it again.
Absolutely.
It just gets bigger. It went from the lion to the bear to Goliath, but he had to remember, if I beat this lion and I beat this bear, like truly, surely you I could beat you too. And so for me to be able to have a moment, and y'all got to understand, where I could recall a past victory of my first time going after a client and getting the client was 25,000, and it lets me know like From there, it went from that client to me working with the school district, me working with the airlines. Like, it went from me being able to go from this client, because sometimes you got to be able to say, I already did this. I beat it once before. I fought this, and I've overcome some things, so that I can know that when the next thing comes, because trust me, the next thing is going to come. It's gonna come. And when it comes, it gotta be bigger. You know what I'm saying? It gotta be bigger than it was before. It's so much to that I could talk about. I'm gonna stop talking, because I'm gonna talk about how you gotta just do it your way. Like, David had to take off somebody else. They gave him somebody else's armor. He had to take it off because it wasn't him. You cannot do it anybody else's way. You can't wear it how they wore it. You can't have it how they have it. It has to be yours. I'm trying to tell you, like, get the book. Get the book.
To sum it all up,
Get the book. Just get the book. Read my chapter. Read Toya's chapter. Read Coach Sandra's chapter. Read Coach all the coaches. Like, when I tell you, the best thing about this, and I know one of the main reasons why I did this is because, one, I had to do it for me. I had to stop telling myself I couldn't do it, right? And I had to stop telling myself, hey, nobody's gonna buy. Like, yes, they are gonna buy. Y'all gonna buy the book. I'm not even worried. Y'all gonna buy the book. But it's the fact that I am so honored to be able to be in this book with my coach, and to be in this book with the other amazing coaches that are in the book. Like, I'm they make me feel like, oh baby, I'm in the big leagues. I'm in good company in this book. And that's the greatest thing about it, is that every writer in this book is a Christian coach, and we all have our own unique lanes. But when we come together, it's like you got one book full of what you need. Like, it's what you need is in the book.
it is. And we're gonna close out. I promise y'all, we're not gonna treat this like the Sunday service.
Mm-mm.
Why this is so important, or why it's so near to me, is because I don't think people understand that external success requires internal work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It does. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care how much money you make. None of those things. True success in life, in relationships, in business, financially, all of those things require internal work. It requires mindset work. Yes, it sounds good to say, oh, you know what? I'm getting ready to go out here and I'm getting ready to play lacrosse, until you start trying to play lacrosse and you don't know what you're doing. And you didn't know that all of these other very important pieces was important to the sport. Why am I saying this? Because while you may think, oh, I'm just trying to grow my numbers at work, or I'm just trying to get this promotion, it has nothing to do with my childhood abandonment. It has nothing to do with my childhood rejection. It has nothing to do with molestation. It has nothing to do with my mama not being present. All of these things matter, because you don't understand that as we grow, we tend to suppress trauma. And what it does is it shows up when it's time to be important, when it's time to be valuable, when it's time to be confident, and you're wondering, why am I having such tug of war? Imagine how much further you can be. Imagine how much greater of a success you can have if you did the internal work.
Mm-hmm.
If you realigned who you are on the inside. Mindset is everything, people. Let me tell you, you won't go nowhere with a jacked up mindset. You're going to stay stuck, and you're going to stay in mediocrity. I encourage you to get the book, because I know that Coach Jasmin's chapter is going to be amazing. But just like she just said, you're going to need Coach Sandra's chapter on forgiveness, so that you can get rid of the imposter syndrome as a leader. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's true. Because see, you got to forgive the mother who didn't pour into you as a child to tell you how beautiful and how confident you were, so that you can grow up and be the successful woman that you are today. You got to forgive her. You got to forgive the daddy who was absent. You got to forgive the cousin who talked about you. I mean, like, all of these pieces fit together if you want that true puzzle. So listen, Jasmin, any final words before we close out?
Yes. All I was, it's so, y'all know it'd be hard. But what I'll say is this: you cannot change what you will not acknowledge. And so all of what she said is, you got to acknowledge it. Before you can get anywhere else, you have to acknowledge it. So the book helps you to do that. The internal work has to be done. And by the book, because I know we can get stuck. Like it's like a Toya and Jazz. I promise y'all, every time we get on a live,
It
on
just never
a
fails.
something, it never fails.
It
So
never
I'm
fails.
going to just end by saying, get the book. The
That's
book.
it. Coach Fee said she want her signed copy. So listen, this is what I want you to do. If you are ready to purchase your copy, I want you to personally message Coach Jasmin so that you can secure your book, so that you can secure your signed copy of the book. Make sure you send her a message, a DM, whatever the new term is for sending somebody a message. Make sure you send her a message, email her, find her on Facebook, find her on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. Make sure you find us. If you can't find her anywhere, go to coachmylife.com. You'll find her there. But make sure you reach out to her, because I guarantee you, not only are you blessing her business, Maximum Solutions, not only are you blessing her as a leadership trainer, not only are you blessing the gift, because every time a book is sold, the smaller imposter syndrome gets, right? Because now I'm believing in what I have. Now I'm believing that I have fruit of what God has given me. Not only are you doing all of those things, but you're investing in yourself. You're investing in yourself. If you're not applying personal development to your life every single day, where are you going? What are your goals? What's next? If you just getting up every single day, eating your breakfast, jumping in your car at the last minute, flying to work, go to work, come home, cook dinner, go to bed and start all over again, where are you going? Nowhere. I'm sorry, I love you, but nowhere. So listen, make sure you check out Coach Jasmin. Make sure you message her so that you can purchase your copy of the Coach My Life Volume 4 anthology. This has been a fantastic discussion. Me and Coach Jazz can talk about this all day, okay? But we won't. We love you guys. Coach Jazz, you good?
I'm good.
All right. Have a fantastic week, everyone. And I am excited about the launch of the Coach My Life anthology. I was going to say podcast. Make sure you visit us to learn more. Have a fantastic
Volume
night.
4.
That's it. And be blessed. Be blessed.